we're going through today is on this note of some philosophies that I went through when I was in college, which some of you know this, some of you don't, but I was actually pre-law when I started uh, way back when, and I ended up studying philosophy as my field of study, preparing for law school. It was a pre-law major. And there is a group of philosophers called the Stoics. The Stoics. And my viewpoint on this, I'll be totally honest with you guys. Taking a philosophy degree and then not going to law school made my education like kind of useless, but it taught me how to think, right? It taught me how to think. It didn't teach me what to think, it taught me how. And I see that as a valuable skill. And it taught me a couple of situations on how to view things that I came across in the fire service, up to and including the calls that we went on, and how should I process them? How should I look at life, right? And the cool thing about it is it can apply to any context. Everybody here involved in the service in one way, shape, or form. So we're going to talk about it in that context. And the topic of the day is something called memento mori, right? I might be butchering the pronunciation. Don't come after me with that, but it's Latin. And let's just start with a simple question, which is, in the fire service, how many dead people have you seen? Here's the thing. Almost every single person that's in this call right now, they've seen death, probably more than your average person. I think it's safe to say. Probably more than most people will see and witness in a lifetime. But here's the more important question. Has seeing that much death changed the way that you live? So when we talk about the Stoics and we talk about this topic, they generally, as a group, believe that one of the greatest teachers wasn't success, it wasn't money, it wasn't even adversity, it was death. But not because they were obsessed with death or obsessed with dying, because they wanted to become obsessed with making the most out of life. So, what is memento mori? It's Latin for remember, you will die. Memento mori, remember, you will die. It's the Latin phrase. It's the closest translation that we can get. And at first, it sounds dark, right? It sounds ominous, morbid. But maybe that's because we misunderstand it. So we're not trying to scare ourselves. What we're trying to do is wake ourselves up. Wake ourselves up to what? One of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, Marcus Aurelius, emperor of the Roman Empire, was one of the people that talked about this, and in his meditations talked about how much life is temporary. It's not about fear of death. It's about not wanting to waste life. So to these people, death wasn't something to fear. It was something that gave every single moment that you have, it gave it some kind of value. Its value was in that it was temporary. It was in that there was an end. That is what made it beautiful. That is what makes living in the moment, being in the moment, have its significance. So, like, a simple question and a thought exercise that we could do with ourselves is, if we knew we only had 1 year left, like, what would change? What would change if you knew that this was like that your time was even more short than you expected it to be? And what wouldn't? And are we really prioritizing the things that we care about in the order we say we care about them? And I think most people, including firefighters, we spend our lives pretending that death is far away. But firefighters, like, that that's not always the case. You've been on the calls where things happen to people that they weren't expecting it to go that way. Sometimes a lot younger than these people were expecting. We don't have that luxury. You've seen the fatal MVAs. You've seen the sudden cardiac arrests. You've seen the suicides, the cancer, calls with kids, friends, coworkers, maybe even a line of duty death. Happened at my department. I've watched families receive the worst news of their lives, and then we get used to it. Here's the thing, like, do we treat death like it's theoretical? Is it just part of the profession? And yet, how many of us live like there's always going to be more time? You think about all the things that you go through on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to take that vacation I've always wanted to do. I'll do it next year. I'll get healthy after my retirement when I have time. I'll take more time with my kids when things slow down. I'll fix these issues with my spouse when fill in the blank. Now, here's like the really important question. How many people have you transported who thought they had tomorrow? Honestly, think about it. How many people have you transported or ran calls on who thought they had tomorrow? Probably a lot more than we want to admit. And it's just realizing that, like, that is the thing. If you say, oh, that feels heavy, like, but that's also what makes it beautiful. So, what has that taught us about living life in these situations? Like, if we have to take a lesson from every single call we've been on, can we not take away the fact that some of the people that we've run calls on are in that position, and that could be us too? Like, we treat life like it's unlimited. Here's another thought experiment. Imagine somebody handed you, I don't know, $90,000, 100, let's make it 100, $100,000 every day, every morning. But here's the thing. Anything you didn't spend that day disappeared at midnight. How would you use it? Here's another thought example. I saw this in an interview on Instagram. Somebody said, hey, if I gave you $10 million right now, would you take it? Oh, yeah, of course I would. Okay. Here's the trade though. If I gave you $10 million, but you didn't wake up tomorrow morning, would you do it? But no, no, I wouldn't. Oh, so like your life is worth more than $10 million. And the person was like, wow, I guess I never really thought of it that way. But are we treating your life that way? So you turned down $10 million if it meant you didn't wake up tomorrow. But are you approaching every single decision with that kind of mindset? That my life is worth that much, that the experiences in my life are worth that much. Would you use it wisely? So I guess here's the thing. If we can understand that analogy or that thought experiment, then every single day you wake up, you're given something that's even more valuable than $10 million. You're given the next 24 hours. You're given the next moment that you awake. So once today ends, you'll never receive another July 20th, 2026 ever again. So are we going around treating our time like it's our most precious resource, our most precious possession, our most prized resource? And yet also, probably all of us, myself included, tend to guard our money far more carefully than we do our time. And so think about this. Actually, where did your time go yesterday? Where did it go? Where did you spend it? Now, I'm not talking about what you wanted to do. I'm not talking about your intentions. I'm talking about your actual time. And did it reflect your priorities? Really? The things that you say are most important to you. Did your time, the most valuable thing that you have, did it reflect that? And if not, there's an important question here. If we're living life as if later is guaranteed, how many things are you postponing? How many things are you postponing? Conversation? An apology? A workout, a doctor's appointment, a follow-up you don't really want to know about, a trip, a vacation, starting that hobby you always thought about, that book you always wanted to read, that business you wanted to start, the dream you always had that you told yourself I'll do someday, spending time preparing to live while living passes you by. Why? Because we assume that later is guaranteed. But what if that was the biggest illusion that we live under? And again, this isn't about fear. It's about appreciation. It's about reality. It's about practicality. How much of life do we spend in regret over the things we never tried, over the things we put off? Do you make decisions and take actions that sometimes you regret later? Absolutely. But how much of it is just from never having lived? Think about your department. Think about yourself. I'll take the time after retirement. I'll do this after I retire. When things slow down, when I'm not running calls, I'll take care of myself then. And then retirement comes. Or for some, it doesn't. I'm sure if you sat down and thought for even just a couple minutes, we know firefighters who never got the retirement they planned for. Whether it was due to cardiac disease, cancer, unexpected death, none of us are promised the finish line. And so what is this really about? If it's not about fear, if it's not about anxiety, because that's not the point of this, it's about clarity. One of the greatest gifts that, what's the direct translation? It's remember you will die. What is one of the greatest gifts? Isn't it interesting to talk about it like this? It's one of the greatest gifts of remembering that you're going to die. Is it a gift? We treat it like it's a gift. But one of its greatest gifts is perspective. So when you remember that life is finite, when you remember that it's shorter than we think, then like petty arguments at home, at the station, with strangers seem to lose their importance. Station gossip, social media comments, politics, ego. And then the question can change from like, who's right? My pride, this. I'm angry over that, to like, does this even matter in the grand scheme of things and what my life is important about and like what matters to me? Does this even matter? Like, death can be an incredible filter if we choose to see it that way. Ask yourself this: what's something that you've been giving too much energy to that isn't going to matter 5 years from now? I'm sure we all have those things. Where am I spending my time, my energy, and my life, pouring it into something that nobody's even going to remember 5 years from now? Least of all you. And is that robbing you of the time that you have towards the things that will matter in 5 years? If we all know we're going to die, what's going to matter when it's all said and done? Is it going to be the extra overtime that you picked up? Is it going to be the game? Is it going to be the argument you had over fill in the blank? Is it going to be the experiences that you had, the memories that you made, the things that you tried and that didn't work out, but turned you into a stronger person, a stronger leader, a stronger spouse, a stronger parent, caretaker? Like, what if the last shift you went on was your last shift ever? Well, if you finished up, you said goodbye to your crew, and you don't know it's the last time, what would you have wished you had done differently? And what would you say? What would be the things you wish you had tried differently? If it was like right now, all right, this is it. Like we tally up your life right here as it stands. That's it. You don't get any more time. That's it. Well, all right. Where in your life would be like, crap, I missed out on this. Zik, for me, I know what it would be. Be more time with my family, more time with the people I cared about, more gratitude, more presence, more courage. Maybe for some of us, it's better health. I guess the question is, do you have to wait until the real end of your life to discover what matters, or can we unlock that sooner? So there's an expression here. It's called mortality motivation. So you hear these things, these people who have near-death experiences where they think that they're going to die. And then when they come out of them, their whole life is different afterwards. They have a totally different perspective because they actually had that transformation before they passed. And they go on and do incredible things and they live their life as if that could actually be the last of it. It's like cool to understand this in theory and to understand in your brain, like, yes, okay, I understand this concept, but do you accept it into every fiber of your being that it could be the last of it? Do I treat life like that? Like there are no do-overs. Like I don't have more time. Like I said at the beginning, one of the most beautiful things about life is that it's not infinite. And why would we believe that? Well, it's very hard to accept the idea that someday we might not exist. It's much more comfortable to believe that, or at least to not think about it. This is just a perspective shift from seeing it as a bad thing as seeing as it to one of the greatest gifts that life has. Is to know that the moment that you're in right now is never going to happen again. And can you appreciate it to its utmost ability? Now, the Stoics, they practiced something called like, well, I don't really know what it's called. I'm just going to come up with my own name for it, but like negative visualization. We spend a lot of time visualizing positive. What are my goals? What are the things I want to do? What are the things that I practice and be and repeat to myself as if I am the person that I want to be? And there's balance to that, and I still believe in that. But I think there's also balance in the other side as long as you don't get lost to it. What if I visualize the opposite? This was a practice of the Stoics. And not because they were pessimists, but because they knew appreciation grows when you recognize that something isn't guaranteed. Like imagine that you lose somebody that you care about. Imagine you lose your ability to move. Imagine that you lose your eyesight or your hearing or your career or your home. But then return to the present. And everything that you do have becomes a gift, becomes something to cherish. I think the truth is that the problem isn't that life lacks blessings. It's that problem is familiarity blinds us to them. It's not that there are no good things there. It's that our familiarity with the good things in an ironic way causes us to not recognize them. Like, are there things in your life that you've taken for granted? Have you ever had something that you didn't really appreciate until it was gone? Ah, man, talk about the tragedy of the human experience, huh? How many things do we have that we don't appreciate until we are only in their absence? And can we recognize those things now? We recognize what we do have to be grateful for, what we do have to live for, what we do have that's bright, that we do have that's good, and not take it for granted, not have to wait until it's gone to appreciate it. And man, would life be better if I could practice that and appreciate that gratitude every single day? And we talked about this when we were doing we were trying to get the fundraisers for the home build. But I heard a statistic on the last one that I did in Oaxaca, and they said if you have a roof over your head, clean drinking water, no, sorry, if you have a roof over your head, a bed to sleep on, and a refrigerator in your house, then you are better off than 80% of the population of the world. 80%. Man, does that change perspective? What's something that you said? And like, just let's take those three examples. Would you have more appreciation? Like, what would your life be like without a bed, without a roof, and without a fridge? Would you feel differently about those things? I could tell you this, every time I've gotten an injury, I've never appreciated the ability to move around so much as when I have an injury. Ankle, knee, leg, something that stops me from being able to move. And then it's like, God, I've never appreciated my ability to move around quite so much until I lost it. Hmm. Here's the thing. You know what we can take from these lessons is one idea. Don't die before you die. Don't die before you die. Some people stop living long before they stop breathing. They stop learning. They stop taking risks. They stop dreaming. They stop growing. Does our life turn into a cycle of go to work, come home, scroll on your phone, sleep, and repeat for years? And like, is that living or is that just surviving? You know why we call this program Reclaim? The zombie mode. That's right. But do you know why we call this Reclaim? It's not like on accident.
Reclaim your life.
Reclaim your life, reclaim your health, your purpose, your standards, your relationships, and not because you might die tomorrow, but because you are alive right now. You're going to take it back. Reclaim, what does that mean? Like to take back what was lost. And how much of us lose ourselves in the process of doing this like weird thing we call life? What parts of ourselves do we lose that we don't want to lose, that we lost, that we never planned on? And how can I get it back? We're going to reclaim it. Reclaim, because it was already yours. You take back what is yours to actually live your life to the fullest. You're not meant to be this like robot that lives in a cycle that the same day in and out, never thinking, never creating, never appreciating, never being spontaneous. There's a lot to life. But are we exploring it? And if you actually like took it to heart that tomorrow might not be guaranteed, what would you be doing differently? Here's the thing. So you want a legacy? People talk about legacy in the fire service, want to leave a good legacy. They want to talk about legacy with their family. The word legacy is interesting. But legacy isn't built at the end. Say, hey, I'm going to retire soon. I'm at the twilight of my department. Many firefighters, I think legacy is built after retirement. I would disagree. I think legacy is built every single ordinary day. Made a post recently, something along the lines of usually those things, they're not done in like some big, crazy, drastic moment. Say, hey, the hero's moment. I have my thing. I put in the work. Here, I have this moment where everything changes. It's not really how it works, is it? It's built in the everyday decisions, the ordinary things that you go through, choosing the road between what's easy and what's right. Every day we come to that crossroads where you get the opportunity to choose between what's easy and what's right. Are we treating it that way? And see, the thing is, the things that leave the legacy and build your character and help transform you into the identity you're going to step into as the best version of yourself that is worthy of leaving behind a legacy, those are built in the everyday moments that nobody else is ever going to see, except the most important person. You. There's one person that's going to see every decision that you've ever made. And it's the one that matters the most. This is not what other people think of you, it's what you think of you. It's built, legacy is built in every single ordinary day. It's made in how you handle that conflict with your spouse. It's made in that decision where, man, you have every right to be angry with your crew, but you decide to lead them anyways. And how you care for your body and how you respond under pressure, how you serve others. But it's not even about being remembered by other people. Like, what do we care? You're not even going to be around to see that they remember you. Like, okay. But what are you going to believe and remember about yourself? Isn't that what matters? But let's say that it does. Like, how do you hope people, what do you hope people say about you when you retire? But then what evidence are you giving them for that today? And I think the second question is more important. It's the same thing. I told this story a couple of weeks ago or last week or whatever. These calls all meld together at this point. But I remember my first week, a captain took me to the side and he said, hey, I don't know if you ever care, if you want to, but if you're ever planning on promoting, your interview doesn't start, you know, during the test when you're able to apply to test. It doesn't start before your test or before the interviews. It doesn't start a couple months before your interviews. It starts right now. Because hey, 5 years down the line, I don't care. It starts right now. Your interview starts today. If that's something you ever cared about. Okay. My interview starts today. How would you do in the interview of life? Is that something you prepare for near its end, or is that something that you got to build up your appreciation for? How many things are important that we're putting off? By the way, this is a letter to self, by the way. This is a letter to self. How many of the important things in life are we pushing off till later under the assumption that I'll be able to get to it at some point? I think every single person in this room right now, if we were being really honest with ourselves and we were like, all right, if I literally didn't have tomorrow, we would be able to come up with a laundry list of things that we wanted to do that we never got to. Does it have to be that way? Or is that a story that we've got caught up in telling ourselves, a belief that we picked up somewhere along the line? I'll keep building a life at the sacrifice of living one. But it's right now. It's right here. It's happening. So I want freedom. Choose freedom. Choose it. Freedom's a choice. Forget what people say about you. Forget your reputation, forget your rank, forget your awards, forget your accolades. When you look in the mirror tonight and every night after, will you honestly be able to say, I used it well? I used today well. Not perfectly. So that's not, that's not how it's going to go. But did I use it well? Was it in line with my priorities, with what I want to actually do in life, all the experiences that I want to have? But intentionally, because this is the truth. One day, you'll have your final ordinary day. And none of us are going to know it's the last one until it's already passed. So I guess what's the point here? Memento mori. Remember you will die. It's not about fearing death. It's about respecting life. It's about refusing to postpone what actually matters. It's about realizing that your greatest asset is not your paycheck. It isn't your pension. It isn't your title. It's today. It's your time. The time you spend. It's the great equalizer. It's the thing you cannot buy more of, that you cannot get more than 24 hours in a day. You cannot get more than 365 days in a year. I don't care if you're Elon Musk or anybody else. You do not get more than the same 24 hours as everybody else. It's the one thing that we all share together. Okay. Then that becomes the greatest resource, the greatest thing to appreciate, the greatest thing to use wisely. I know this topic can seem kind of like, what's the word? Morbid, right? Pessimistic, down, but it's not supposed to be. Because it's not trying to make you think more about dying. It's trying to make you stop wasting the privilege of being alive. The privilege of being alive. The privilege of your choice in how you spend your time. So, a couple of things to ask yourself, and you don't have to write these down, you don't have to respond, but they're worth thinking about. If today was your last ordinary day, what would you do differently? What are you postponing because you assume you're going to have more time? Are you building a life that you would be proud to look back on? And if we took things down and wrote it on a sheet of paper, not based on what you say, but based on your actions and your behaviors, if we did those things and we took a true stock of the priorities on your list or your closest friends and families, what would they say based on your actions are your true priorities, not your intentions? Because we can do this very easy. Does anybody remember how you very simply figure out what somebody else's priorities are, or how we could do it for ourselves? There's two things. Show me two things. I'll tell you what's a priority. Anybody remember?
Time and money.
Thank you. Show me your credit card statement and show me your calendar. Where do I spend my time and where do I spend my money? Those things are my real priorities. Now, you want to take this a step further? Go and look at both of those things. Go and look at both of those things and say, okay, these are the things that I say that I idealize as being this is the type of person, these are my priorities. These are what I say are important to me. Great. Now go and look at your finances and look at your calendar and ask yourself a very serious question. Is it reflecting what I say I want to be a priority? Or is this telling a different story? If I took myself out of the equation and looked at it as if I was looking at somebody else, is it reflecting that? Is it reflecting my statements of what I want? And then there's another thing here. If I'm not really living in alignment with what I say is most important to me, Do we think that that can cause dysfunction somewhere in our lives, maybe even subconsciously? Am I fighting myself? Say, hey, I really, really, really want to travel. I've wanted to see the world since I was a child. When was the last time you took a trip? Oh, well, it's been, I don't know. I prioritize travel. I prioritize seeing cultures. Great. When was the last place you went to? Well, it was 2008 and I went to, uh, I went to Cancun at an all-inclusive resort, as an example. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with all-inclusive resorts. I'm saying you want to experience other cultures and travel. How many of us have lived a story like that? Myself included. Hey, is this actually lining up with what I say I want to experience in life? Am I spending my time and my money in order to fill those priorities? It's a very easy, hard thing to do. It's simple. It's not easy. You take anything away from this, though, go in and say, all right, I'm going to look at my calendar. I'm going to look at my checkbook, whatever it is. People don't use checkbooks anymore. I don't know what I'm saying. Look at my credit card statement, whatever it is. Okay. Is it telling the story that I tell myself when I look at it objectively? Is this actually prioritizing the things that I say are important to me? And then if it's not, what kind of changes do I have to make so that I'm not kind of, but I'm living a life that matches the values I say I have? Okay. Simple, not easy. There's one thing here. Every firefighter in here knows a universal truth because you've seen it. You've seen it more times than you can probably count. So that life can change like that. Seen it too many times, probably. The tragedy isn't that life is short. The tragedy is forgetting that it's short until it's almost over. And today's discussion, the Latin phrase of remember you will die, isn't a reminder that you're going to die. It's a reminder to finally start living the way that you want to. So what are you waiting for? Could be the last day. How are you going to spend it? That's all I have for you guys today.